Danny Gaffone for Pro Boxing fans, delighted to be joined over Zoom by Adam Smith. Adam, just before we get into the boxing, to give people some context, we had one of the biggest fight weeks of the week last week in Eubank Benn, what I'm sure was a very busy one for yourself. A lot of people would think maybe a bit of downtime, but I saw you yesterday in London at the Usyk Dubois 2 press conference. You've been doing media since 6 a.m. today, I hear. No rest for the wicked.
It's busy and it's great when it's this frenetic in boxing. We love our moments in the sun, don't we, in our sport? And I think Saturday night was one of those, especially after all the hype and the hoopla and the build up and dare I say it, the naysayers to the in quote circus. I love a story. I'm very fond of the Ben Eubank dynasty, the fathers, the sons, who I think have had a lot of pressure on their shoulders over the years. I've known them obviously both coming through since they were kids. And yeah, I think after everything, to have Senior turn up in the manner that he did was just pure theatre. And then to have the boys fight, yeah, just a, 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 a clash to be remembered. I mean, there's people saying to me, oh, it's not elite, it's not your Batevia Bibble sort of stuff. It was never going to be like that. I mean, I didn't want the best light heavyweights to stop boxing when we were in Saudi with Dimitri and Artur. I thought it was wonderful. I didn't want it to stop on Saturday night for different reasons. I just thought it was a phenomenal show of bravery, courage, bearing their souls in there together. They did what they needed to do and then some. And I thought Eubank won the fight, not as wide as the judges. I thought that the respect that Conor Benn had at the end was right. I went to see him afterwards. I told him, don't be down on yourself. I didn't think there was a loser. I thought they both came out, covered themselves in glory after everything we went through. And every fan I spoke to absolutely loved it. And that's the key, right? It's entertainment. And I always remember the fighters in the ring. And for all those who say, oh, they're not this, or they should retire, or they should never have a rematch, or all these sort of things, that's people shouting opinions. Ultimately, the fathers, their close camps, the trainers, all of them know their sons, their men better, and their women, obviously at times better than anyone else. So it's not up to us to sort of shout and scream. Would I like a rematch? I certainly did at the end of the night. I wanted it the next week. As the dust settles, I still do. I still want a rematch. I think it would have to be up at 162 or 163 pounds. I don't think Chris could make 160, and I don't think it would be fair to him to ask him for that. Would that suit Conor? Probably not, but I think he does want revenge. So, yeah, I think it's very much a fight that can be made and that Turkey obviously wants to make in September. Is it a fight that has to be made? No. We had everything on one night, and Conor could come back down to either division, and Chris could go up to super middleweight or not fancy it anymore. I don't know. The boys, they need a rest. They both went to hospital afterwards. They need a rest. It was a savage, grueling fight, and I loved it, and I think they did. And yeah, would I like to see it again as a boxing fan? Of course. But let's just wait and see what happens. We need a bit of time to evolve.
Yeah, for sure. Just want to circle back to the arrival of Senior Adam. An iconic moment. Your commentary on the moments went viral as well. People loving that. I was wondering your thoughts. What do you think, or what have you heard maybe was the reason for the last minute change in Senior's attitude towards the fight? Because I saw an interview with Johnny Nelson, obviously your old friend. He had a conversation, an hour-long phone conversation with Senior in terms of, Chris, you've got to be here. Have you spoke to Johnny about what was said? What do you think was the straw that broke the camel's back and got Senior at Spurs?
Funny enough, I spoke to Johnny every single day of last week, and since the fight, I haven't. I've just been so busy, and I'm sure he has. We've had Usyk and Dubois, as you know, and other stuff, and the sort of the fallout, or not the fallout of the fight. That's a bad word, really. It's more the sort of the elevation of the sport since the fight and the excitement of it all. And then you get another huge fight announced at Wembley. So, yeah, I've been lost in that a bit. So I actually haven't spoken to Johnny. He was on my list to do today. Yeah, I know he's close to Senior, so I'm sure he had a part to play. I'm sure Turkey probably had a part to play. I mean, he clapped at ringside straight away, His Excellency. So maybe he put the sort of battle cry out as well. I know we all did during the build-up as well, but I think by Wednesday, certainly Thursday at the press conference when Chris was talking about it, we'd all sort of given up hope. And I think that was the brilliance of it, whether it was a slight marketing genius, whether it was a real, he's coming in an hour, and that's what Ben Shalom said, that he knew an hour before. I didn't think he was going to come. None of us did, hence the shock at ringside. The guys in the truck found out a little bit before and didn't tell us, which was really good. So they got that live reaction. And it was just a stunning one. It was just one that it was the one thing that just hadn't felt right in the whole build-up. And not necessarily that Chris wasn't there for us for the show, which obviously we wanted him there for, but not there for his son. And I think that after what happened with Sebastian and the difficulties they've had as a family over the last 3 or 4 years, it just wanted father and son side by side, and to get that was, as a dad as well, was just, yeah, as a dad and a son, being close to my dad and close to my son, it meant a lot, actually. It really did. And for me, I said in the build-up to anyone that asked me, it was all about Chris's relationship with his father. That was it. Didn't matter about anything else, but the fact that he came and he was there. And yeah, maybe it was a little bit of outside pressure too, but ultimately he was there. He made that decision. And it obviously hugely pumped up Junior and had an effect, I think, on the Benns as well. I think they were as shocked as everybody. They could hardly talk in the dressing room. I thought that after Conor and Nigel had almost called for Chris Sr. to be there, they would be like, yeah, that's brilliant. But I think they were a bit spooked by it. We all certainly were. And Darren said it was like something in WWE. I mean, it was just so unexpected, wasn't it? It was one of those moments in boxing that will forever live with me, I think. And it's funny that it didn't happen in the ring.
Yeah, that'll be hard to top. Definitely. We could sit and talk about that moment alone, the fight week, the build up all day. But the Boxing Roadshow moves on, and there's other topics to discuss. Adam, we were both at Wembley Stadium yesterday for the Usyk Dubois 2 press conference. Maybe not the press conference a lot of people were expecting. The low blow came up as you'd expect, but Don Charles was sort of filled with vitriol towards Alexander Usyk. This beef between Alexander and Don's son George Fox came up. There was back and forth between them. What did you make of it all?
Well, first of all, it's a fantastic fight. July the 19th, we see the first ever undisputed unified heavyweight championship of the world, belts together, fought in London at the National Stadium, a place that I love going, you love going. Carl Froch, George Groves sort of kicked it all off. I mean, way back. We had, of course, Bruno and McCall at the old Wembley, Cassius Clay, others, but the new Wembley, Froch and Groves just took it to new standards, I guess. And then AJ Klitschko, for me, was the greatest night we've had there. We obviously had a Povetkin fight. We've had Tyson Fury and Dillian White. We've had Dubois' amazing win over Joshua. There's been others, but I think this is the right time for this fight. I think I'm pretty close to both guys, and I know that Daniel feels in the form of his life. I was disappointed he didn't fight in Riyadh, and I wonder if that's the one thing that might come back to haunt them a little in this. Just his lack of rounds since September worry me or concern me slightly. However, he's very fresh at 27. He's on a real roll. He's coming off that incredible run of knockout wins, especially over Hrgovic and Joshua, although the Miller fight was tough too. So I think he's a different man, different human being since the first fight. So that's dangerous for Alexander. And I know Usyk well, and I know that he loves challenges. I know he loves rematches. I know he loves Britain. I know that he wants to fight on. I spoke to him at length in camp in Gandia before the Fury fight, and there was no sign of him wanting to quit after Fury. He just loves boxing, and he dedicates himself royally to it. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a training camp quite as mind-blowing and professional and huge as the Usyk one. Maybe I think back to Lennox Lewis, days of Evander Holyfield, possibly the way that Floyd Mayweather trained, but there are a few that I think train the way Usyk does. he has a scientist, he has a chef, he has everything around him, as well as the trainers and the 4-minute rounds and all the stuff you've seen with the acrobatics. He's also one of the greatest swimmers I think I've ever seen. I mean, it's just, he is a phenomenal athlete. And he's shown no signs. If anything, he's shown signs of improvement. I thought the last 4 or 5 rounds against Fury in December were just magnificent. So he'll be very confident going into this. However, he knows Daniel's a much, much better fighter than he was or showed, or certainly maturity-wise, psychologically under Don Charles than 2 years ago. They were always going to bring up the low blows. I did the promo, and the first thing they said to me, was, "Oh, we're going to talk about," and I was like, "Okay." You know, and it's like Darren Barker's very opinionated about it. Spencer Oliver's very opinionated. And people have got different opinions. It was either good or it was low or it was in the middle, which is sort of where I sort of go. And that's not sitting on the fence. That's just, I think it was a slight low blow, but it wasn't meant to be. And it was one of those that the referee had the discretion. And I think that Usyk did utilize his experience that night to get every bit of time he could. But then he came back and pretty much walked through Dubois. He was, he stopped him. So Daniel didn't win the fight. All this like, oh, he won the world title, it was taken away from him. I don't buy that at all. The referee makes the decision, and then why didn't Daniel go on and win the fight? He didn't. Usyk won the fight. So I think Usyk starts obviously favourite going into this, but he's 38 now, and it's become a lot narrower. I think Daniel's got the best chance he's ever had, and I was with him yesterday, and he really believes he can win. As for the press conference, I was there in TalkSport as well on Monday, and George was, look, he asked questions. He's a big guy. He's pretty intimidating. He's very intelligent, and all this McDonald's, Burger King stuff. I mean, he's a fighter, and okay, he's nowhere near the level of those guys, but he fights, and he's got an opinion, and that was his opinion. And I think he rattled Alexander. Alexander just got annoyed with him. But there was something, and they carried it on with Don. And I thought it went a little bit far with the lying and the cheating. I think ultimately this is the pound for pound great we're in front of. And okay, have some fun with the pictures. It was all great. Yes, was it low? Ha ha ha. No, it wasn't. As Daniel rightly said, he didn't want to be drawn into any of this. He was like, it's not about the past. It's about the future. It's about what happens on July 19th. And I walked through. That's what I wanted to hear more than the other stuff. So, okay, Don and George, great. They're intelligent. They're trying to play psychological things. It's a war. I get it. And they think, obviously, they feel some sort of weakness there, either to the body or maybe Usyk's always had control of press conferences. I don't know. They're trying something. Do I think it will work? I doubt it with Usyk's mind. I really do. I think he'll want to go back to Gandia, and I think he'll want to work even harder. And I think he'll want to put on an incredible show in his sort of second home, really. And then I know he wants to fight in the Ukraine. Hopefully that will be safe enough to do as a sort of swan song. So, my thoughts are it's the greatest fight that could be made. I feel for Joe Parker. He's in the form of his life. But these things happen in boxing. He'll get his shot. He's waited around and he's been brilliant. And that's the only person probably in all of this I feel a little bit sorry for. But it's the best fight to make. It's undisputed. It's in Britain. It's a British underdog who's coming off a great win. He's got a real chance in there. But Usyk is pretty unbeatable and 23-0 and an amateur career which stands up to any man or woman in history. Katie Taylor's favourite fighter, I'm thinking about great amateurs, is Alexander Usyk. I think he's one of our favourite fighters, if not our favourite fighter at the moment. And he's so humble, and to see him frustrated and walking off the press conference just, irritated me a little bit. I just thought we probably didn't need that. But it's got the fire going a little bit, I suppose, and the guys have put their energy in, and Don and George will believe that's part of the tactics. Maybe most importantly, Danny, if it gets Daniel in a better place, then great. I don't think he needs that. I think, and also the other things, I think they're ready to fight pretty soon. They looked in terrific shape. And so, by the way, did Tyson Fury when he popped up in one of his Instagram messages. That didn't surprise me at all either.
That's exactly my next question. Never one to be outdone. I'm not sure, was it coincidence that it was with the press conference and the hype around Usyk Dubois too, but Tyson Fury, as you very correctly alluded to, back in the gym with Sugar Hill. He obviously phrased it as, look who I've just pumped into, but looks for all the world, he's making a comeback at him.
It's never coincidence with Tyson Fury. It's always planned. I know he's unpredictable, but he knows what he's doing. He knows how to take the attention away from others. Um, you know my feelings on it, Danny. I want to see the Joshua fight. I want to see it next. I don't think there's any reason why it can't be made, say, at Wembley in September. Maybe they have one in Riyadh, one in London. I don't know how they're going to work it out, but ultimately it's a British fight. And it's a fight that stops traffic. It's two polar opposites, two guys who need a fight. Yes, is it a little bit late? Yes, are they both coming off defeats? Does it matter? Not one jot. It's the fight that everybody will want to see. It will polarize opinions just like the characters they are. It will be like Eubank Benn, and the casual fans need it. It will be bigger. It will be the biggest fight we've probably ever staged in Britain. And it's got to happen. Where are we? April, so May, June, July, August, 5 months away. There's plenty of time. Joshua's starting, I think, to hit again. I don't see why that fight can't be made. Frank and Eddie are now working together. What's the problem? Bob Arum says he's retired. I don't believe him. I don't believe he's retired. I didn't believe it at the beginning. I still don't believe. I didn't believe when I saw him the night of Chisora. He went to watch one of his cousins and he looked in amazing shape. I don't believe he's that type. I don't believe he'd go out like that. I thought he was good against Usyk. Some people didn't. I thought he was very good against Usyk in the second fight. Just thought Usyk just went away with it at the end. And I thought Tyson put everything into it. And I think there's still plenty there for Tyson Fury. And I think Joshua wants to come back off Dubois. The only thing is, if Joshua wanted to wait it out, I thought he wanted to wait out to see what happened with Usyk Fury, right? And Usyk wins, then he can't really get the Usyk fight. He's got the Dubois rematch to think about. I think if Dubois beat Usyk, he might want that rematch for all the belts because that's what he wants to become a third-time champion. That's the only thing that I could see sort of getting in the way. But while they've got a fight in July, why don't we do Fury Joshua? And the winner of Fury Joshua can fight the winner of Usyk and Dubois. Or Joe Parker's in there as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or Talmadge's going to fight for the world title this year. So look, we don't know. Lots of good action coming up. Fabio Wardley, Big Baby Miller, love that fight.
I believe that fight's I believe Big Baby's just pulled out of that fight, Adam. News came out very late last night.
Oh, is he? That's a shame. Is that because of the money?
Well, I'm not sure. There's been no reason given yet.
I know he was complaining to me about the money when I last saw him. So that's interesting. Well, I wonder if they put Fabio on Wembley. Maybe they stop the Portman Road. He'll want to fight at Portman Road. So
yeah, I think they're talking about maybe Hrgovic.
Hrgovic would be good. Dillian White, maybe. I know they're mates, aren't they? That's the sort of fight. Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hrgovic should be good. Hrgovic should be good again. You know, the late replacements, why not? He's done well last time. Hrgovic should be a good replacement. I just wonder maybe there if they think about Wembley and just putting Fabio on there to try and. But Fabio wants to fight at Portman Road, so I hope that fight still happens. I don't like the date, by the way, June the 7th. It clashes with Callum Simpson. I'm really close to it. I really wanted to be at Callum's fight in Barnsley, but yeah, it's is what it is. Two stadium shows on the same night. Not great, but. Yeah, I hope Fabio gets that night in Ipswich that he's dreamt of. And if Hrgovic is maybe even again like with the Joyce White fight, maybe it's even better replacement. I mean, the way he fought last time. So yeah, Wardley, Hrgovic, we'd all go and see that. So yeah, Portman Road would be great June the 7th if it's still on. But Frank needs a big card for Wembley too, I think.
Yeah, you talk about stadium shows, Adam, and I want to round off with a stadium show on May 25th, the home of Doncaster Rovers. Big night for GBM Sports, a big night for Terry Harper, takes on Natalie Zimmerman. Just to talk about how much of a step this is for GBM. You know, they've been doing great things. The York Hall card, which was a nightmare logistically, was still very well received. Ended up headlined by Tiernan Bradley and Ben Crocker, but feels like a step up, a step into the big leagues, you know, to go into a football stadium.
I was just thinking, Danny, when you told me about Big Baby Miller, I was out last night and I was dealing with my kids this morning. It's amazing how boxing can just go like that, isn't it? Isn't it strange?
Yeah.
The GBM have gone like that. and it's been incredible to watch and be a small part of. When I met Izzy a year and a half ago or so, I was still very, very ill in recovery from my cancer, and he reached out to me and he said, "Look, do you fancy coming and doing a show for me?" And it was really kind of him, and I thought, okay, and I went along, and I was pretty blown away. It was at the Canon Medical Arena in Sheffield. I was pretty blown away by it. The fact that fans were there right early doors, and the matches were good, and it was just seemed like a sort of flowing, fun night of high production. And also Mitch Costello was part of it, and he really runs the show. I mean, there's a great team behind the scenes, but you got to shout out Mitch, because he's Izzy's right hand man. Izzy gets the plaudits. He's a brilliant front man. He's a very, very infectious guy to be around. He's incredibly charismatic. People love Izzy, and of course he's been a fighter, so he's got this terrific story to go with him, and he's bright, and he's ready. He's ready to take on all the big boys, and he's pretty big enough as well. But he's no, he's lovely. He is. But Mitch Costello, I just want to shout him out. I've done it one or two times in interviews, but Mitch is the engine room behind it all. He's the brains in many ways. He puts everything together in the background. And I used to know his dad many years ago. He was a floor manager at Sky, Lee Costello, a wonderful floor manager, very close to Prince Nassim Hamid and other fighters. And unfortunately, we lost him to cancer way too young. And I think both because Mitch was 7 or 8 at the time, and so I always wanted to sort of keep an eye on what happened in his life. And then we bumped into each other at times. He was working with Dennis Hobson, and then he did a university course. Anyway, he ended up with Izzy, and that was a big pull for me to go and work with GBM because of Mitch, and especially then when I had gone through my cancer and I sort of understood it a bit more. So yeah, he's been amazing, and I think the two of them are really good for each other. But there's a whole sort of plethora, a cast of others. JJ does the press. Alex does a phenomenal job with interviews. There's a really great team of social media people. The social media is fantastic. The camera guys are great. The whole feel of it on a fight night as well. It's high production. It feels a bit like a Sky show used to, and maybe like a next gen show at the beginning. But they're getting bigger and bigger. And now I'm over at DAZN, and I'm seeing the drones. I'm seeing all sorts happening, for Eubank Benn, and the incredible high production values. GBM have always done as best as they can for the budget, and it's tough, right? It's tougher at a smaller level, and it's not small hall. They turn the York Hall into something incredible. They make the smaller arenas in Sheffield come alive. So it feels like big time boxing in a sort of smaller venue with maybe younger prospects. But now it's just increasing, and it's increasing. The partnership with DAZN, a couple of unlucky moments they've had in boxing. We're talking about the Baby Miller pull-out, but things like that. That's haunted a little bit last couple of shows, but still the shows have gone on, which is the most important thing. And now we come to Doncaster, Friday, May the 23rd. It is going to be an absolutely epic night. I've been up to Doncaster quite a lot. It's a fight town. We had it back in the day a lot in the little Doncaster Dome. We've had seen Jamie McDonald fight Julio Cejar there, I think back in 2013 for a world title. So 12 years on, we get World Championship boxing on GBM for the first time. And it's one of my favorite fighters in Terry Harper. She is just the epitome of somebody that has brought the best out of herself, that has always carried herself with dignity, with a smile, with incredible dedication. A 3-weight world champion. Amazing, even with her ups and downs. That phenomenal fight she had with Tasha in Eddie's Garden. The winning of the WBO lightweight title last time, the super featherweight. She's been brilliant, and she's still young. I think 28, and she's got the chance of a homecoming 5 minutes from her doorstep with all her fans in Doncaster, topping the bill against an undefeated Natalie Zimmerman, who is going to bring everything. We saw her at the press conference. She's athletic. She's fitness trainer by heart. She'll give it absolutely everything. This is her moment for her. And it's our moment at GBM, really, because it's on a big outdoor stadium at the Echo Power. They're going to sell, I think they've already done 6, 7, 8,000. I think it's going to be 10, maybe even 15,000 there. We're going to really stretch it. I'd like to see a lot of the young amateur clubs come in. I'd like to see all of that. It's that sort of night. It's a festival night. It's a spring festival is what I'd like to see. The fights on the card are the best GBM have ever put on.